All right, so we're back with my man Brandon McEachern, who is the founder of the Broccoli City Music Festival. For those of you that don't know, Broccoli City is the premier Black-owned, Black-founded music festival that's been running for a while now, and all the hottest artists, a lot of celebs, talent out there showing love to Brandon. So he's built something that certainly permeates, elevates culture, and we're happy to have him today. Brandon, want to introduce yourself really quickly?
Thank you for having me. What's up with it? You know what I mean? I'm a Cancer, you know. I'm right on the cusp of a Cancer and a Leo, you know what I mean? But no, I'm Brandon McEachern here. Yeah, I appreciate that intro, Charles, you know what I'm saying? Broccoli City.
Yeah, Broccoli City all day.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So everybody loves a good origin story. You know, as I was getting familiarized with yours, I thought it was just really dope. How did a kid from Greensboro end up as a founder of one of the country's most beloved music festivals?
Man, what is it? The hero's journey, going from the known to the unknown to back to the known with knowledge. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's you know, I was a PA. You know what I mean? A production assistant, for those of you guys who don't know. So I got all the coffee, all the Subway sandwiches. You know, I worked at every store in the mall. You know what I mean? From Hollister to American Eagle. You can blank that out. I didn't mean to cuss, sorry. I put in the work, I suppose. And then when it came to the dream part of it, in terms of building Broccoli City, it was more so like an Audacity type of ordeal. And I got a lot of that from Los Angeles. Like meeting people in LA and them working at Starbucks, but they tell you what they really do. I love the gall of that.
So let's fast forward a little bit, right?
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
Past the origin story, now you're here. Broccoli City is established as one of the only Black-owned music festivals in the country, and a very popular one, right? So in my world, we talk a lot about authenticity, and when I look at footage, media around Broccoli City and how you guys have built that thing, it strikes me as something that's very authentic and true to culture. So if you could give us a taste of that journey, some of the challenges, but now some of the benefits of having something that is so embedded in being rooted in culture.
That's a phenomenal question. When we started Broccoli City Festival, it was an Earth Day festival. You know what I'm saying? That was the concept. That was the theme behind it. For us, it was more so about community building. It was about vendors. It was about community with the backdrop of the music that we all hold dear to ourselves, right? When you think about community, though, the first thing you think about is like a reggae band or some shit, you know what I'm saying? Or your cousin's karaoke, you know, tribe or whatever that's gonna perform. But we wanted to do something community-based, but make it actually swaggy and make it dope and make it, you know, to your point, authentic. And I think that comes from, it's us, right? Like, it's not like we're talking to somebody that's foreign to us. We got the same taste, we got the same swagger, whatever the case may be. Like, so in that regard, with the festival, it's easier, I think, to tap into that because it's just looking in the mirror, right? But on the flip side, when you think about the young versus the old, right? Like, I'm getting on up there in age, so it's like making sure that I stay connected to the young folks on my team, right? And keeping that pipeline open and giving them the comfortability to be able to say their thoughts and say what they thinking. I think it's one thing to have a young kid on your team or whatever, but giving them the power or empowering them to speak up and say their mind, even if it's a whack idea. You got to give them the courage to do that. And then another step forward is going back to what I was saying about an Earth Day festival, going and getting sponsors at that time for a festival. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, yo, you know, we want to do something healthy for our community. And will you sponsor our festival, you know? And I'm doing my little hip hop gestures, this, that, to the third. They're like, yo, we don't think that people really want to do Earth Day thing. So we're not going to sponsor this event. But if, you know, you do something with some booty shaking or something, you know, we'll be down for that. So that was a challenge at the beginning, but then that became somewhat of our niche, right? Or somewhat of a standout point, right? That we were so community based. And it's like, yo, how do you do that? Including vendors that are from that community. You know, our ticket prices have never been higher than nothing on a Lollapalooza, no shade to them, or Rolling Loud. These are feasible tickets. We also have a program that we started called We Chip In, which is a tech platform where you can actually volunteer for opportunities and then earn a ticket to the festival, right? So it's like continuing to try to figure out ways to engage. But before, it was, what the is you black kids want to do about community and sustainability? But now you got Instagram, everybody's vain, you know what I mean? So now everybody wants to eat healthy. So it's a part of that narrative too. But that's probably one of the challenges at the beginning.
Yeah, so let's talk about
Yes, sir.
the festival itself. Y'all have the most incredible artists. The lineup this year is bananas.
Man.
It's such an experience. You as somebody who founded and puts on a festival every year, how has social media changed how people engage with you as a festival and the lead up to, during? I also have questions around like the experience as the artists are on stage. Everybody's trying to capture the moment and maybe not be so much in the moment. How has that changed, and what do you think are some of the pros and cons that social has had on engaging with, interacting with, and really immersing yourself in a festival like yours?
That's a phenomenal question. I would say the pros of social media is obviously awareness, right? You know what I mean? You dropping your flyer, and then a friend dropping the flyer, and then the artist putting up, like you can't beat that from an awareness perspective. I do think that it exposes holes. If this could be a con, I guess we'll go pro and cons. You know what I'm saying? A con would be it exposed holes, but that's actually good. When people come to your festival, they come to your event, they filming that shit. So they filming all the trash on the ground or whatever the case may be. So back in the day, I don't think you could necessarily hide what was going on, right? Like what would happen if social media was at Woodstock. Like you can't necessarily do that no more. But then on the flip side though, if you're doing it right, then it's coming out that way too. I also think that social media established communication between, said brand and the consumer. And as a festival property, I think it's very important to listen to what your comments are saying. Like certain festivals have come out and then you see the comments like, oh, we hate this artist or that artist or whatever the case may be. And you may see in 3 to 5 weeks that lineup change. Because it's that effective, the power of people, the power of community, the power of voice, and that comes through social media. So that's another thing. As far as the festival experience, I think it caters to it. I think people like to be performative, you know what I'm saying? You want to capture those moments. I always tell myself, instead of me going out here and buying these shoes, I should go off and buy a ticket to go somewhere, because you can't get those experiences back, right? So having that phone, I don't know, that new Apple commercial, don't let me go, that's a real thing. So I think that side on the social side is dope, just to share those memories and all that.
Y'all heard the vocals. I didn't know you were a vocalist.
Yeah, man. Social is definitely a thing.
Yeah, so you are, whether you like to give yourself that credit or not, but you are somebody who gets to set culture now, right? You just talked about listening to a social audience, and you might even see the lineup for the festival change. You guys sit in this very unique place where you have helped break artists. You bring some of the biggest artists in the world on the stage. How do you create that balance that leads to the best of festival experience? Are you looking more to bring in young artists and kind of push them along their way? And how do you balance that versus bringing in the big headliners that everybody wants to see?
That's a phenomenal question. I think you're going to see a lot of festivals go through this challenge, right? Between having the big ass names, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then it kind of filter down to the small names, right? Like if you look at Broccoli City, it's all kind of the same width-wise, and I'm talking about the ad mat or the flyer for y'all who don't know what I'm talking about. And obviously your big acts are your big acts, right? But a lot of those folks is getting good bread touring. My man Dan, his joint Trapatal, I can't believe I just gave you a free shout out, dog. You owe me. Text me, dog. It's crazy. But I'm not gonna say that because your joint fire. But he actually presented a joint talking about why would a big superstar do a festival when they can get so much money on their own or create their own festivals, right? So that's an interesting dichotomy. But then with us on the culture side, if you look at, say, like a Broccoli City, to your point about young artists or old artists, you'll see on Broccoli City influencers. Like we booked Issa Rae. You know what I mean? Like Shorty was in Barbie, but she also gonna be at Broccoli City. And that's my fam. That's a whole different set of questions that we could go down. But I'm saying in terms of like balancing out experience with the top name acts. Like I don't think that you're gonna be able to just throw up a big headliner name moving forward for festival. I think you really gonna have to dig within that community and figure that out. Because on Broccoli City, you got everybody from Tanner Adele, who was just featured on the Beyonce album, who's a country singer, to Sexyy Red, to V's, to Victoria Monet, to Kaytranada, to Meg Thee Stallion. It's like it's so many different angles, but I wouldn't necessarily say that none of these people are like the humongous of the humongous, right? It's more so like it's a perfect gumbo. And I think that people gonna have to start making very good gumbos. Man. If that makes sense.
I think that brings up another good point, right? Because as you do that, the festival gets known for bringing out a certain type of act, but now you've been around so long that folks who were at Broccoli City 1.0, they're aging out a little bit. So how do you keep that cool factor through, you know, an aging demo that is now a new demo?
For sure. Like what we talked about earlier is listen. You know what I mean? That's the answer, is listen. Listen to your consumers, listen to the younger folks around you. Young folks push culture. I just read an article today that Gen Z is getting more bread than me and you got. Gen Z get a lot of bread, so shout out to Gen Z. But I think it is about us getting out the way as far as some of us older folks, and not even like I'm stupid old if y'all can't see me, if y'all just hearing me. You gotta be inclusive of the kids, man. They gonna tell you what's up, bro. They gonna tell you what's popping. Quick. And truthfully and authentic and brash. And you gotta be big enough as far as folks in our position, Charles, or people who run in these agencies, or who's ever listened to you need to be aware of your young cohorts that you got in that office. Let it be known that they're seen. Compliment them, say what's up, treat them like an adult. That's what we wanted when we were younger. So, you know, shout out to those of us that are in executive positions, but act like we still outside. You know what I mean? Because you ain't nothing but outside with just a little bit more experience. So don't take yourself so seriously, and realize that all of this is community. All of it. You know what I mean? Because we ain't even talked about agents and managers and how many people are behind booking these acts, and how you need to know these people from the past. And I remember, you know, Evan, who manages Kaytranada, because I had Kaytranada in 2014. Going back to your point about, you know what I mean, know-how. So then now when Kaytranada is one of the biggest DJs out there, when I reach back out to Evan, being that relationship was established in 2014, 15, 16, it all comes back to play.
Yeah, and I think to bridge that to a marketing and advertising conversation, we talk often about, like, don't be so precious about your brand, right? Like, sometimes you have to get the hell out of the way and let the young kids lead on your messaging, know that you're speaking to them, know that they sniff out inauthenticity quicker than we even did when, you know, we thought we did it very well when we were, 20 something. So, like, I think that's a learning, whether you're music, whether you're on the brand side, advertising, whatever. There's a lot of dollars that are impacted and shifted with those younger audiences, and making sure that, again, you're looking in the mirror, or they're looking in the mirror, and they can see themselves in what you're doing as a brand. Makes a lot of sense. So you go look at Broccoli City outside of just being on the ground, being outside at the festival, and the entire narrative around it is this do-good angle that y'all have on everything the festival touches, or the people who engage with the festival. Like, after all these years, with the success, with Issa Rae coming through now, like, why is that still so important to you, to ground all that you're doing in doing good for the community around you?
Man, it's the only thing that really matters. I feel like, you know, like, that's the soil that we got to plant into, which is each other. You know what I mean? In a way, you know, I done gave away so many free tickets, so many, you know what I mean? Like, and you know, you take a lot of that hardship on the back end, because you know you the last to eat, or whatever the case may be. But when you see all the fruits of your labor, and the fruits being young adults that have grown bigger, or artists that have gotten bigger, whatever the case may be, right? Businesses that have started, people that have got engaged at your event, so whatever the case may be, like, it's just good equity within the world, just putting that out there. If, yet again, you're not a and you utilize your so-called position and your platform correctly, right? And I think that being kind is a universal language, man. Like, we gotta, so many things are happening on this back burner because people are cool with each other. Like, can I talk to you? You know what I mean? Can I chat with you? And I think that continuing to invest in your community, continuing to invest in people that work within your community by giving them opportunities, whatever the case may be, it just becomes a recycling thing.
I think, you know, you invest in humans. Humans like engaging with people who feel human.
For sure.
Brands need to humanize themselves for me to want to work with, do any sort of commerce with the brand. So I think at all levels that makes a lot of sense.